You won't believe what I'm about to tell you, but the signals hidden inside Sudani's recent speech are so bold, so unusually direct, and so economically revealing that anyone following the Iraqi Dinar movement would instantly realize something major is brewing beneath the surface. And that is exactly why today's breakdown is a must-watch for anyone serious about understanding where the dinar might be heading next. So, before we go deeper into this critical analysis, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on all notifications so you never miss important updates that can help you stay informed and prepared for any upcoming shifts in Iraq's financial landscape. Now, let's get into the real story behind Sudani's words, because when a prime minister speaks carefully, every phrase holds weight, every reference signals intention, and every emphasis gives away strategies that governments rarely reveal openly, and that is what makes this speech unusually powerful. What stood out first was Sudani's repeated focus on monetary stability and protecting national purchasing power, phrases that might seem ordinary on the surface, but in economic language strongly suggest an environment preparing for an internal currency shift, not necessarily an immediate revaluation, but rather a sequence of policy moves that guide the dinar toward a strengthened position. Governments don't wake up one day and change a currency. They engineer the conditions first, and Sudani's message appeared to be exactly that type of preparatory communication. When he spoke about tightening financial controls and building confidence in Iraq's banking framework, experts immediately recognized this as a classic step taken whenever a nation tries to realign its exchange rate, stabilize external imbalances, or prepare investors for a gradual upward correction. He also directed attention to the increasing role of Iraq's domestic production sectors, especially the non-oil industries that have long been overshadowed by petroleum revenues, and this matters because a revaluation environment demands a diversified economic foundation. A currency can only rise sustainably when export potential strengthens, inflation stabilizes, and external financing becomes more predictable, and all three themes were subtly present throughout Sudani's message. Another key element was his acknowledgement of the gap between the official government rate and the parallel market rate, a matter that has frustrated citizens and traders for years. Politically, such admission is not common unless the government is preparing to justify corrective measures to unify the exchange rate, which historically has been one of the strongest indicators that a country is moving toward a more controlled currency appreciation. When leaders want the public ready for change, they highlight inconsistencies first, then reveal plans to fix them, and Sudani seemed to follow that exact pattern. Analysts also noticed his mention of global partnerships and financial cooperation with international institutions, because no currency movement of significance happens without synchronized coordination with global markets. Iraq has been working to strengthen ties with financial oversight bodies and international banking systems, and Sudani's emphasis on this cooperation suggests that Iraq is aligning itself with standards necessary for greater currency transparency, which often precedes rate adjustments. Add to this his tone, confident, assertive, and signaling readiness for reforms, and it becomes clear why many observers believe Iraq is entering a phase where the dinar's trajectory is being reshaped. Throughout the speech, there was an undercurrent of urgency, a tone that suggested the government is not only aware of the economic pressures, but is actively setting the stage for a transformation in how the dinar functions in both domestic and international markets. If you're watching this video right now, it means you care about staying educated on every detail of the dinar story. So keep watching, because the next part of this analysis will break down the deeper economic signals behind the speech, Sudani's and message. Trust me, it becomes even more apparent that his speech was not merely an update, but a strategic communication designed to prepare the Iraqi people, investors, and international observers for the next phase of Iraq's currency evolution. Because when a leader repeatedly emphasizes structural reforms, transparency, and market discipline, it is rarely accidental and almost always points toward a carefully mapped financial roadmap. What caught many analysts by surprise was the Prime Minister's insistence on combating dollar smuggling, tightening border controls, and blocking illicit currency channels, because these measures are usually implemented by nations that want to strengthen their currency's integrity before moving toward a more stable or appreciated exchange rate. A currency cannot grow while it's leaking value through external black market flows, So Sudani's priorities clearly signaled that Iraq wants to reclaim control of its monetary ecosystem. Add to this his discussion of modernizing financial institutions, expanding electronic payment networks, and reducing reliance on cash-based transactions, and you begin to see the bigger pattern. These are foundational steps for a future in which the dinar becomes more digitally trackable, internationally recognizable, and economically secure. Countries preparing for revaluation or currency strengthening often push digital financial reforms first because they create transparency and curb manipulation, two outcomes that directly support a stronger exchange rate. Sudani also highlighted Iraq's progressing foreign reserves, trade balance improvements, and increasing regional partnerships, all of which play crucial roles in shaping the value of any currency. Stronger reserves give Iraq the capacity to defend the dinar, stabilize the exchange rate, and implement targeted monetary shifts with confidence. Improvements in trade balance indicate that the country is slowly moving towards self-sustaining economic cycles, reducing its vulnerability to external shocks that weaken a currency. And regional partnerships with countries interested in investing in Iraq's infrastructure and energy sectors show the world that Iraq is becoming a more reliable economic player. Another notable signal was Sudani's focus on controlling inflation and supporting local production, because inflation management is one of the strongest prerequisites for any currency strengthening. When inflation is stable, purchasing power rises, and when purchasing power rises, the case for a more valuable currency becomes easier to argue both at home and abroad. He also referenced the importance of attracting foreign investors, and investor confidence always increases when a government shows commitment to stable monetary policy. When investors believe that a currency will strengthen or at least stabilize, they invest more, and increased investment leads to economic expansion, which further supports a stronger currency. It's a reinforcing cycle that Iraq seems to be preparing for. Moreover, Sudani's tone suggested a clear intention to restore pride in the national currency, something leaders only do when they want citizens to view their currency as valuable and trustworthy. The way he spoke about future reforms, financial integrity, and the importance of Iraq taking its rightful place in the regional economic landscape paints a picture of a nation positioning itself for monetary upward mobility. When you piece together every hint, every reform, every emphasis on stability, and every push toward financial modernization, the message becomes unmistakable. Iraq wants the world to recognize the dinar as a serious contender in global markets again. So, as you continue watching, stay alert, because the final section of this video will combine all these signals into one clear narrative that shows exactly how Sudani's speech fits into the broader picture of the Iraqi dinar's potential movement. Now that we have examined the layers of Sudani's message and the strategic reforms built around it, it becomes essential to understand how all these indicators combine to paint a broader picture of the Iraqi dinar's trajectory, and the conclusion many experts are reaching is that Iraq is entering a pivotal moment in its economic journey, a moment where monetary restructuring, institutional strengthening, and market recalibration converge to create conditions ideal for currency evolution. Sudani's speech did not promise an immediate revaluation, nor did it present a fixed date or guarantee a sudden rate change. But what it did accomplish is perhaps even more significant. It signaled that Iraq is developing the right environment for the dinar to grow, stabilize, and possibly appreciate over time as reforms take shape. One of the strongest signs was his repeated insistence that Iraq must restore trust internally before expecting recognition externally. This is a core principle of currency strengthening. Domestic confidence must rise first so that international markets respond. He highlighted the importance of a unified exchange rate, and historically, when a government begins working toward unifying dual exchange systems, it almost always precedes a better controlled and more strategically aligned currency path. By addressing corruption, smuggling, inflationary pressure, and lack of banking transparency, Sudani indicated that Iraq is cleaning the foundation before building the structure of a stronger monetary system. He also emphasized expanding economic outputs beyond oil, pushing agriculture, tourism, industry, and technology sectors to reduce reliance on a single revenue stream. A currency backed by multiple strong industries is always more resilient and more capable of sustained appreciation. Moreover, his message about aligning Iraq with global financial regulations is an unmistakable sign that the country is preparing for deeper integration with international markets because recognition from the global community requires stability, transparency, and compliance, conditions Iraq is now prioritizing. As the speech progressed, Sudani's tone grew more confident, suggesting that many of these reforms are already underway and producing early results. This confidence matters because leaders rarely express it publicly unless they have internal reports confirming progress. His commitment to protecting the purchasing power of Iraqi citizens is perhaps the most powerful signal of all, because every currency movement, whether a revaluation, adjustment, or stabilization, ultimately revolves around enhancing purchasing power. He made it clear that Iraq's economic future will not be dictated by external pressures, but shaped by internal discipline and strategic planning. And when you look at everything he highlighted, monetary control, digital modernization, economic diversification, strengthened reserves, global cooperation, institutional transparency, it becomes clear that Iraq is positioning the dinar for a more influential role. Whether the movement will be gradual or bold remains to be seen, but the indicators suggest momentum is building. This is why staying informed is crucial, and why channels like this one provide essential updates to help viewers understand the deeper meaning behind every policy shift and every official statement. Sudani's speech was more than information. It was a roadmap, a signal to those who listen closely that Iraq is preparing for a financial transition. So, if you've watched this far, you're already ahead of most people following the dinar story, and your awareness gives you an advantage. Before we end, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because more critical updates are coming, and you won't want to miss any of the insights that could shape your understanding of where the Iraqi dinar might be heading next.